What's up guys, it's Hubs and I'm going to be running Frontier Hunter Season 12 Terminus, and it's not going to be like my old videos where I actually try to get through it with a high score. Doing something a bit different this time. This video is going to be about how I auto battle through it and still get a decent score. So my team has Lario leader, Friend Rosetta, Nars is my damage mitigator, Sheeta for the elemental advantage bonuses, and I use Douglas and Maxwell. So first turn, I Fujin Pot Lario, Douglas, Rosetta, and Maxwell, and then I just turn on that auto battle, and then I just leave it basically. So let me go into a bit of detail on who my leaders are, why I'm using them, and the rest of my guys. So Lario, if you don't know, he's pretty good in Frontier Hunter right now. He's a 40 hit SPB. Also has a bunch of stuff that increases BB fills. So his leader skill I think is 15% reduction in BB gauge used and 70% spark damage bonus with more BC when you spark. And I think his SPB also gives like BB regen per turn as well, which is pretty nice. Rosetta as a leader she really complements well in these spark teams because she also gives spark damage in her leader skill, and she has BB fill when sparking, which basically means Lario, Douglas, Rosetta, and Maxwell, as long as they have their SBB and they spark, they're going to have infinite SBB with only one enemy unit, which is pretty nice. Narza's my damage mitigator. I know a lot of people really like Shara right now for Frontier Hunter Terminus Season 12, but I don't think Shara is that good. I mean, she does have an AoE SBB, so she'll help generate a little bit of BC that way. And she gives an attack buff. It's 100% I think, which is actually not that great. And then the damage mitigation. I love Narza because Narza prevents negative status ailments, which is huge when you're auto battling. So it means I'm not gonna get paralyzed. I'm not gonna get cursed. I also get BB fill when hit. So especially in like the Narza stage, or you know what, any one of the stages, because I don't generally one hit every stage. It's usually a 2 hits for every stage. So with Narza's SBB on, it's gonna prevent all status ailments, and then it's gonna give me a 4 to 6 BC fill on hit, which means if for whatever reason any of my guys doesn't have max SBB after the first turn, it's like, okay, enemies are gonna hit me anyways, and it's generally gonna fill up my BB gauge anyway. So right now, if you see like enemy Narza's attacking my Maxwell, boom, a little bit of BB. So it doesn't always work out so that you get SBB, but you can see like my Narza right now is like really close to SBB. So if this enemy Narza just hit him, then I would have had SBB on him. Unfortunately I didn't, but it's whatever. Generally 2 to 3 shot this stage with Narza, and I guess maybe 2 to 4 shot. It's a lot about luck too. I can get really unlucky and he can like one-shot my Maxwell, which means this becomes like a pretty much failed run. But most of the time, goes about perfectly fine. Narza and the last stage are like the scariest stages where, depending on luck, you can get totally screwed over. But most of the time with this team works out pretty well. So next up is Sheeta. So Sheeta gives every single element to your units. Also fills BB gauge by quite a bit. So he's really great to have in that sense. I mean, it's just more BB, elemental advantage for points and for damage. Damage is actually a pretty big thing here. Like, for auto battling, you need to be able to do a lot of damage. You don't need to one hit everything if you were running like double Maxwell, but you need to do enough damage that you can clear the last stage and you can clear Narza relatively fast before they wipe you. So she does great for that. Next up is my Douglas. Actually, people might be wondering, like, why are you using Douglas? Everyone's using like 2 or 3 Larios, but then I don't understand that because Lario and Douglas, in terms of stats, Lario has a bit more attack. His SPB multiplier is also 390 compared to Douglas's 350, so Lario is a bit stronger. But Douglas has 60 potential drop check, so per enemy, Douglas can generate up to 60 BC per enemy. So if you have 3 enemies, like 180 BC, whereas you have Lario, who's a maximum of 40, so it's like, why would you ever use more than one Lario unless they're both your leader? Because you can just use Douglas, and you're going to get 60 BC compared to 40. When you use Lario, so it's like, okay, I'm just going to use Douglas. Also, I'm going to Sphere Frog him too, because I don't want to Sphere Frog like 3 Larios, which is kind of weird. So I Sphere Frog 1 Lario, and I Sphere Frog 1 Douglas, and it's like, yay, this Douglas with 60 potential BC generation compared to another Lario who would do nothing because, like, Lario's SBB doesn't stack against itself, so you're just kind of wasting it. Douglas is okay because he has 50% spark boost, so depending on him or Rosetta, I'll have a spark boost up sometimes because auto battle like it's kind of random, so it's kind of nice to have. But yeah, I mean, I would use Douglas instead of another Lario, but maybe I'm missing something I don't understand. So if there is a reason why having two Larios instead of a Lario and Douglas is better, just let me know in the comments so I can retract my statements and make the world a better place. But until then, it's like, no, I don't see any reason to use. I would use like a Lario and like three Douglases because 60 BC generation. That's way better than 40. Anyways, so lastly, I'm using Maxwell, and Maxwell is super important in this auto battle team. This Maxwell basically makes this thing all work out because this Maxwell's using Gale Knight X and Blighted Seal, so basically means crazy amount if my Maxwell crits, he can like basically take off like 60-70% of the enemy's HP on his own or on her own. It's just you need this Maxwell, especially watch this last stage. So what happens is the very first battle of the next stage, or not battle, I guess round, it's basically a free round. Everyone can attack, and the enemy units like Mare, Zebra, and Zerg are actually not going to do much damage back to you. And same with the well, not really. After the second round that you attack, so if you don't two-shot these guys, after the second turn, Mare will drain all your BB gauges. Okay, so you're basically screwed. With Maxwell, you can one-shot Mare, and that's not going to happen. It's usually a two-shot for this team, but if you don't, basically all your BB gauges get drained. You have no damage mitigation. Your guys get cursed because you also get debuffed, and you just lose this stage. And then you lose like 200,000 to 300,000 points just because you couldn't beat the stage. So that's why Maxwell's super important here. It's the same with the Narza stage as well. Like, you want to kill Narza as fast as you can before he wipes you. So Maxwell is like the most important, like super important in this comp. Like, I used to use Elza for a bit, and it was just like, it was too random. Like, I'd only win like 30 to 40% of the time. But Maxwell has just really made this team work out for me. So anyways, that's my auto battle squad. Generally average about 1.6 mil, I guess, which is pretty decent. That's about 300,000 Frontier service points. But yeah, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.